The Book of Enoch is an ancient Jewish religious work that is not part of the standard biblical canon, but is considered canonical in Ethiopian Orthodox Christianity. Chapters 12 to 14 detail the judgment of the Watchers, a group of rebellious angels. Here's an explanation of these chapters. Before we start, we'd like to ask for your support. If you enjoy our video, please hit the like button. This will help us reach more people and create content for you. Now let's get started with today's video. The Watchers and the Nephilim. The story of the Watchers begins with Genesis 6 verses 1 to 4, where the sons of God, interpreted as angels in some traditions, took human wives, leading to the birth of the Nephilim, described as mighty men of old. This event is elaborated upon in 1 Enoch, where these angels are called Watchers, those tasked with observing and guiding humanity, but who instead succumbed to desire and defied God's commands. Their descent not only corrupted humanity but also introduced forbidden knowledge, contributing to moral and spiritual chaos on earth. Chapter 12. Enoch's appointment as a messenger. The narrative begins with a clear distinction between Enoch and the Watchers. Enoch is described as a righteous man who walked with God, Genesis 5 verse 24, and was chosen for a divine mission. In this chapter, Enoch's call, God addresses Enoch directly, commissioning him as a mediator between heaven and the Watchers. Unlike the Watchers, Enoch remains faithful, and his role underscores God's sovereignty and the importance of obedience. The Watchers sin. The text recounts the Watchers' transgressions, emphasizing their lust for human women and their impartation of forbidden knowledge to humanity. These sins violated divine boundaries and disrupted the natural order. The divine mandate. God commands Enoch to deliver his judgment to the Watchers. This mission highlights Enoch's elevated status as a prophet and scribe, chosen to communicate God's will to both humanity and angels. Chapter 13. The Watchers' plea and God's response. In Chapter 13, Enoch acts as an intermediary, delivering God's judgment to the Watchers and witnessing their desperate pleas for mercy. Judgment pronounced. Enoch approaches the Watchers, who reside in a desolate place, symbolizing their fallen state and separation from God. He delivers God's decree. The Watchers are condemned for their rebellion, and their punishment is eternal imprisonment. Their actions led to widespread corruption, and their offspring, the Nephilim, brought violence and destruction to earth. The Watchers despair. The Watchers, led by figures such as Semyaza and Azazel, express regret and seek intercession through Enoch. They recognize the gravity of their sins, but are unable to undo the consequences of their rebellion. Their sorrow reflects the inevitability of divine justice. Enoch's intercession. Enoch records the petitions of the Watchers and presents them to God. This act demonstrates his unique role as a bridge between the heavenly and earthly realms. Despite their pleas, God's judgment remains unaltered. The Watchers' punishment is final, highlighting the unchangeable nature of divine decrees. Chapter 14. Enoch's vision of heaven and God's judgment. In Chapter 14, Enoch is granted a profound vision of God's majesty and his heavenly court, reinforcing the authority and holiness of the Creator. The vision of heaven. Enoch describes being transported to a glorious, otherworldly realm. He witnesses a magnificent structure filled with fire and light, symbolizing God's presence and purity. The imagery of fire, crystal, and lightning reflects the overwhelming power and holiness of God, echoing biblical visions such as Isaiah 6 verses 1 to 4 and Revelation 4. God's throne room. At the center of the vision is God's throne, surrounded by angelic beings who continually praise him. This scene emphasizes the contrast between the obedience of the heavenly host and the rebellion of the Watchers. The throne represents God's ultimate authority, from which he issues his unchallengeable judgment. The declaration of judgment. God pronounces his irrevocable judgment against the Watchers. They are condemned to eternal imprisonment in a fiery abyss, often interpreted as a precursor to the lake of fire mentioned in Revelation 20 verse 10. The Nephilim, their offspring, are also doomed. Their destruction reflects the restoration of divine order and the removal of corruption from creation. Theological themes. The vision underscores God's justice, holiness, and the inevitability of his judgment. The Watcher's fate serves as a warning against rebellion and a reminder of the consequences of sin. Enoch's privileged access to God's presence highlights his unique role as a faithful servant and prophet, foreshadowing Christ's role as an intercessor. Themes and symbolism in the judgment of the Watchers. Divine justice. The judgment of the Watchers reflects God's commitment to justice. Their punishment is not arbitrary but a direct consequence of their actions. This theme resonates with biblical passages such as Galatians 6 verse 7. Do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows. Corruption and consequences. The Watchers introduced knowledge that humanity was not prepared to handle, leading to widespread corruption. This mirrors the story of Adam and Eve, where disobedience resulted in the loss of innocence and the introduction of sin into the world. The mediator role of Enoch. Enoch's intercession for the Watchers foreshadows the role of Christ as the ultimate mediator between God and humanity, 1 Timothy 2 verse 5. However, unlike Christ's redemptive work, Enoch's intercession does not alter the outcome for the Watchers, emphasizing the finality of their judgment. The rebellion of the Watchers represents a cosmic struggle between divine order and chaos. This theme is echoed in Revelation, where Satan and his followers are ultimately defeated and cast into the lake of fire. God's sovereignty. The vision of God's throne underscores his absolute sovereignty. Despite the Watchers' rebellion, God's authority remains unchallenged, and his plans for creation will prevail. Biblical parallels and references. The story of the Watchers in 1 Enoch finds echoes in several biblical texts. Genesis 6 verses 1 to 4. The brief mention of the sons of God taking human wives is expanded in 1 Enoch. The book of Enoch provides a detailed account of their actions and their consequences. Jude 1 verse 6. Jude refers to angels who did not keep their positions of authority but abandoned their proper dwelling and are kept in darkness, bound with everlasting chains for judgment on the great day. This aligns closely with the Watchers' punishment. 2 Peter 2 verse 4. Peter writes, God did not spare angels when they sinned but sent them to hell, putting them in chains of darkness to be held for judgment. This directly parallels the narrative of the Watchers' imprisonment. Revelation 20 verse 10. The lake of fire, where the devil and his followers are cast, reflects the fiery abyss described in 1 Enoch as the Watchers' final destination. Theological implications. Human responsibility. While the Watchers introduced forbidden knowledge, humanity willingly embraced it, highlighting the shared culpability in the corruption of creation. Hope and restoration. The destruction of the Nephilim and the punishment of the Watchers paved the way for the restoration of divine order. This theme anticipates the ultimate renewal of creation described in Revelation 21 to 22. Please subscribe my YouTube channel. I hope you like this video. Thank you.